Hey everyone, let's jump right into today's explainer. As a neuroscientist, I spend a lot of time looking at the actual architecture of the brain, and today we're going to explore a phenomenon that literally every single one of us has experienced, but very few actually understand from a biological standpoint. We're going to break down some incredibly cool recent neuroscience research that explains exactly why our sense of smell operates completely differently from everything else we experience. Let's dive into the actual wiring inside our heads that makes scent the ultimate time machine.
So I want you to take a second and picture this. Has a sudden scent ever just yanked you instantly back to a really vivid emotional memory? Maybe it was the smell of rain hitting hot asphalt in the middle of summer, a quick whiff of an old perfume a friend used to wear, or just the aroma of a very specific childhood meal simmering on the stove. Suddenly, you aren't just remembering that moment, right? You're physically and emotionally back there. You're feeling the exact same feelings you felt decades ago. It's such a universal human experience. But why does it happen so fast?
Well, in the scientific world, we actually have a name for this. It's called the Proust effect. By definition, it's the psychological and neurobiological phenomenon where a specific scent triggers a highly detailed, vivid, and emotionally intense autobiographical memory. But here's the thing. This incredibly powerful automatic recall isn't just poetry. It isn't magic. It is driven by hardwired, incredibly unique neurobiology. When you smell something and get hit with that massive wave of nostalgia, your brain is actually prioritizing raw emotion over conscious logical thought.
To really grasp why smell has this absolute superpower, we first need to look at how our standard senses work. When we look at standard sensory inputs, say a light wave entering your eye or a sound wave hitting your ear, they have to follow very strict biological rules. They take a highly specific journey. First, the sensory input is gathered. Then, it gets sent straight to a region deep in the brain called the thalamus, which basically acts as a routing station. Only after the thalamus processes and packages that information is it finally sent up to the cerebral cortex, where you actually consciously perceive the image or the sound.
You can kind of think of the thalamus as the brain's super strict switchboard operator, or maybe a highly efficient receptionist. Whether it's sight, hearing, touch, or taste, this operator carefully screens every single incoming call. It filters the data, decides where it needs to go, and then systematically routes it to the correct department in the brain. It's a highly logical, step-by-step, organized process. But, as it turns out, there's one rebel in our sensory system that completely ignores this receptionist.
And this is where the olfactory pathway goes completely rogue. When you inhale a scent molecule, it does not go to the thalamus. It entirely bypasses the brain's switchboard operator. Instead, olfactory information takes a VIP shortcut, projecting directly into the cerebral cortex, the hippocampus, and the amygdala. It's literally the only sense we have that gets to skip the line and walk straight into the most heavily guarded, highest-level processing centers of the brain without an appointment.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is this direct connection to the amygdala. In neuroscience, the amygdala is known as the ultimate hub of emotion. It's where we process our feelings, especially the really intense ones. Because smell gets exclusive, direct access to this emotional hub, the amygdala immediately lights up and releases neurotransmitters like noradrenaline and dopamine. These chemicals then rush right over to the hippocampus, which is the brain's memory center, and essentially hit the record button with maximum intensity. This direct, physical bridge is exactly why a smell can make you cry or smile before you even realize what it is you're smelling.
But you know, the rabbit hole goes even deeper. As a researcher, I find it fascinating that to truly understand why smell is so incredibly emotional, we have to look at the sensors themselves. The architectures are totally different. Sight and hearing operate on strict, deterministic on-off rules. They are highly specific. Smell, on the other hand, operates on what scientists call fuzzy logic. It's broad, overlapping, and highly ambiguous. Now, I know fuzzy doesn't sound very scientific, but let me translate exactly what this means in plain words.
Let's start with the strict rules of vision and sound. Your eyes rely on just 3 specific types of cones, and these cones are like perfect puzzle pieces. They only respond to exact, extremely narrow wavelengths of light, like 420 or 530 nanometers. It's just pure physics. Your hearing is exactly the same. You have about 3,500 inner hair cells in your ear, and they respond to strict physical frequencies based purely on their exact location. It's a rigid, highly mapped on-off system. If the exact right wavelength or frequency isn't there, the sensor simply does nothing.
Now, keep that strict puzzle piece system in your head for a second and consider this number, 390. This is the approximate number of olfactory receptor types humans have in our noses, just 390. This was a massive mystery for neuroscientists. Think about it. The chemical universe is essentially infinite. There are millions of distinct complex smells out there. So how on earth can we recognize and distinguish thousands upon thousands of unique odors with a tiny little toolkit of only 390 sensors?
The answer is that our noses traded that strict puzzle piece system for a broad, overlapping net. Smell receptors, which biologists refer to as G-protein coupled receptors, don't look for one perfect, exact chemical match. They aren't simple on-off switches at all. Instead, each individual receptor acts like a wide net that can catch many different types of chemicals at the exact same time. They cast this wide, almost messy web over the chemical signals coming in.
To make this super concrete, let's look at one single specific receptor named OR5A1. Because of that fuzzy logic we just talked about, this one receptor responds to muscone, it responds to nitromusks, and it responds to unsaturated macrocyclic ketones. I know those are big technical words, but the point is, those are completely different chemicals with vastly different molecular structures. And when you smell something complex, like a cup of coffee or a pine forest, multiple chemicals hit multiple fuzzy receptors all at once. It creates this chaotic but absolutely brilliant symphony of overlapping signals.
Now you might be thinking, well, that sounds terribly unorganized. But in reality, this is a brilliant evolutionary hack. By having randomly placed, ambiguous receptors that respond to a wide variety of things, the brain is able to efficiently compress a massive, infinite, chaotic chemical universe into a small, highly effective spatial pattern right inside the nose. It's literally the ultimate data compression algorithm. It sacrifices strict precision for broad capability, and that is exactly what allows us to adapt to pretty much any environment on Earth.
We can summarize this entire journey by comparing the blueprints of our senses. Sight and hearing rely on that strict coding, they get stopped at the brain's switchboard, and as a result, they have relatively low direct emotional activation. But look at smell. The coding is completely fuzzy, it entirely bypasses the switchboard, and it heavily activates the amygdala. This incredible combination of fuzzy coding and a VIP neurological shortcut is the exact biological reason that scent triggers such an intense emotional explosion.
So, what you should really take away from this is a complete reframing of how your senses work. To quote the underlying research perfectly, the fuzziness of our smell receptors isn't a flaw, but an evolutionary masterpiece designed to maximize memory and emotional integration. The very messiness of olfaction, those overlapping nets, the bypassed reception desks, is exactly what allowed our ancient ancestors to instantly remember the scent of a predator or bond deeply with their families. It is just a profoundly brilliant strategy for human survival and emotional connection.
We've covered a lot of fascinating neurobiology today, tracing a scent molecule past the thalamus, straight into the amygdala, and diving into the fuzzy logic of our receptors. It really makes you appreciate the incredible machinery working quietly in the background of our lives, doesn't it? So I want to leave you with this final thought. The next time an unexpected scent hits you, whether you're just walking down a busy city street or opening an old box up in the attic, what forgotten world will your fuzzy receptors unlock? Take a moment to just marvel at the beautifully messy, emotional time machine sitting right inside your nose. Thanks for exploring the brain with me today.